During the investigation on the Titanic shipwreck, researchers noticed a strange thing. At the bottom of the ocean, the ship's next part is in very good condition, while the last part is in extremely bad condition, and it was also 2,000 feet away. No doubt, for hundreds of years, iron and steel get rotten while lying at the bottom of the ocean. But if these two were part of the same ship and drowned at the same time, then why is there so much difference in the next and last part? The researchers believe that on the night of the accident, something happened to the Titanic, not only to collide with the iceberg, which caused more damage to its last part. But the question is, what is this? In 1912, on the night of the accident with the Titanic, it was 700 kilometers away from Canada's Newfoundland, alone in the middle of the dark ocean. At the time of the accident, there were a total of 2,240 people on board, of which 1,500 people lost their lives. What was called unsinkable was seen in front of the power of nature. However, in the dark ocean, there was a black sea. The eyewitnesses who witnessed the accident were only those who somehow jumped out of the ship and jumped into the cold water of the Atlantic Ocean. From the collision of the iceberg to the sinking of the ship, no one else had the record of what happened to the ship other than the eyewitnesses who were fighting with the cold water. The first rescue ship, RMS Carpathia, also died during the sinking of the Titanic, after an hour and a half. It was also a good thing that they got an emergency message from the Titanic, otherwise, the people who were fighting the battle of life and death in the cold water would not have survived. And no one knew about the accident of the Titanic until today. During the investigation, no one knew what happened to the ship. But then the survivors told that the ship collided with an iceberg. These statements were also confirmed by looking at the iceberg at the time, on which the Titanic's red paint was still on. After the accident, the investigation report showed that the iceberg had left a 300-foot-long hole on the right side of the Titanic. That is, 1/3 of the Titanic's entire side was torn. But on the other hand, the eyewitness said that it took only 2.5 hours. Investigators believe that if the iceberg had really left a 300-feet-long hole on the Titanic, it would have sunk in just a few minutes rather than 2.5 hours. But no one could know what the truth was at that time. To find out the truth, it was necessary to find the Titanic ship. For many years, the search for the Titanic continued, and every passing year, this mystery became more and more serious. Finally, after 73 years, the Titanic's wreck was a major breakthrough for the marine industry. It was time to find out the answers to all the questions that the Titanic left behind. The Titanic's wreck in the 4,000-meter depth of the Atlantic Ocean. Many expeditions were arranged that captured countless photos of the shipwreck. Oceanic explorer P.H. Nachalais has visited the Titanic's wreck more than 30 times, but he has never seen a 300-feet-long hole. However, this profile photo of the Titanic shows an area of 30 feet where something had sunk. Its area is only 11 square feet, and according to the calculations, 370 gallons of water is being released every second in the Titanic. This means that the whole ship will be filled with water in 2.5 hours, and according to the eyewitness, it took only 2.5 hours for the Titanic to sink. So, one mystery has been solved, that the Titanic did not have a 300-feet-long hole, but a 30-feet-long crack. But this was not the only mystery. There was still a lot to learn. During the investigation on the Titanic shipwreck, researchers were not able to understand how the next part of the ship, known as the bow, was in a better condition than the stern. And why is there so much distance between the two? To solve this mystery, high-tech sonar scanning technology was used. ROVs captured millions of photos of the Titanic shipwreck site and then used computer graphics to convert it into a 3D model. This model also had all the details that no ordinary camera or human eye can see. In the model, it can be seen that all the decks of 392 feet long stern are inserted into each other as if they were not steel, but paper ships. Different parts are separated from the ship and are scattered around. Only two, the size of a house, are connected to each other. Another important sign is also hidden in this model. That sign tells us about the condition of the stern. 110 years ago, when the stern collided with the ocean floor, its marks are still printed here, which can only be seen through a 3D model. These marks show that the moment the stern collided with the ocean floor, it was rotating clockwise. Scientists can guess from these marks that the stern was going into the water at an astonishing speed of 80 kilometers per hour. When the back of the ship was going into the water at such a speed, the forces generated by the water ripped off the loose parts of the ship, and when it collided with the ocean floor 4 kilometers below, all the decks of the stern were stuck together. On the other hand, as you can see, the bow section's front section design is hydrodynamic, meaning it can easily cut the water. Just like the ship cuts the water as it floats on the water. This is the reason why the bow section was neither rotating nor were the forces of the water directly attacking it. Finally, another mystery has been solved. But there is one more question which is very important to find the answer to. That is, when did the Titanic ship split into two parts? As you know, eyewitnesses have given breaking into two parts. For years, it has been believed that the Titanic has been a ship. When the bow section was filled with water, it went into the water, which caused the stern section's full weight to be at the pivot point. This center point could not withstand so much weight and broke into two parts. But the 3D model made with sonar scanning was able to adjust the bow section to a better position. The bow section is located in the middle, would have spread to a larger area than this, as you can see in this animation. Therefore, the experts believe that this section was broken on the surface of the water, but it happened near the ocean floor. And then as it rotated, it changed its direction and fell 2,000 feet away. Today, the body of the RMS Titanic has completely rusted. Scientists believe that the oxygen in this depth of the ocean is very low, which is why the rusting process is also very slow. But when some samples of the rusting were taken out and tested, it was found that the rusting was due to the oxygen released from the bacteria. Experts believe that the speed at which the rusting is being applied, in the coming few years, all the floors of the Titanic will fall on each other and then it will lose its real form forever. Thanks for watching our video. Goodbye.